Alrighty, friends, welcome to the key to keys. So basically, this is a conditioning class focusing on different areas of the body that we're going to be using in doing a hip key, which is quite a few if you really break it down. So we'll start with a little bit of a warm-up where we're going to do some twisting action because we are going to be doing a lot of twisting, side oblique, crunchy type of stuff today. So go ahead and stand up and find some space, and we're going to start with some gentle twists. Just my camera. Okay. Arms out to the side, and I'm just going to twist from side to side. I'm letting my trailing heel lift so that I don't hurt my knee. Yeah, side body, nice and warm. You can also do palms up. And I like to continue looking forward because I get dizzy, but if you don't get dizzy, you can actually look back towards that hand.
I mean, that's why it's at, right? It's like what people want.
Nice. All right, and then we're going to do a cross body twist. So starting from a T, reaching across, touching the opposite side leg, and then coming back up. Nice.
Yeah.
Let's do one more on each side. Nice. Then, continuing from our standing position, we're going to do a side bend. So one arm up. We're going to reach up and over and take a side bend just to stretch out the rib and oblique area we're about to work. Deep breaths. And coming back to neutral and other side. Reach, reach, reach.
Yeah. You pretty good with that, right?
Good, and coming back to standing. Excellent. We're going to do a little forward fold now. We'll do our swan dive forward roll up. So swan diving, I'm trying to send my sit bones back, arching the back and folding forward. And once you're down, bend the knees, tuck the tailbone, and around the back. So a cue that I heard recently that I absolutely love is imagine that you have googly eyes on your sit bones. So that in this exercise, when you swan dive, you're trying to look up at the ceiling with your googly eyes. And then when you're tucking, you're looking down at the floor with your googly eyes. Yeah. Just the thought of googly eyes being attached to my butt makes me really happy for some reason. And doing about 5 to 10 of these, by the way. Excellent. And on the next one, go ahead and stay folded forward. Shake your head and neck to release any tension you might have.
Yeah, no, it's like difficult to read sometimes. And praise, that's so bad.
And then interlace the arms, and let's just do a swing side to side. Excellent. All right, right from there, just step your hands forward, coming towards your downward dog. And you can pull out the feet while we're here. And then come forward onto hands and knees. So I'm in a tabletop position now. And I'm going to take one leg across the body for a IT band stretch. So I'm going to kick that leg across in between my leg and my arm. And I'm going to try to keep my ankle bone lifted off the floor. So the blade of my foot is touching, but my ankle bone is lifted, and you should start to feel a stretch going down the outside of this leg. Awesome. You can also play with that foot position, so closer to the hands versus further away from the hands, and that'll change the position of the stretch slightly. Nice, and then bring that back in, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So tucking that leg through, all twisty-like, pulling the ankle bone up off the floor, so keeping engagement through that side of the body. Very nice. And then while we're here, we're going to do one more thing. We're going to go ahead and lay down and do a supine twist. So laying on the floor, one knee to the chest and twisting across the body. Other arm's going to open up. And a nice back pump there. Excellent. And let's do the other side. Remember on these, you're trying to keep your shoulder grounded. So if getting the knee to the floor means you have to come up like that. It's not it. Try to keep the shoulder grounded and then think about reaching the knee up and over. And if it touches the ground, that's great. And if it doesn't, that's fine.
I want to just get through this guy's whatever. Movement height, I talked to a weight yesterday, and as well as something about the certificate thing.
Excellent. All right, and we're going to do one more set of stretches. This one's going to happen from our standing pyramid position. So from a standing position, I'm going to pivot and turn towards one leg. So I'm in my upright pyramid shape. And I'm trying to stay as flat-backed as possible. I'm trying to point that googly eye up towards the ceiling again on the butt cheek. And I'm going to try to fold forward over the leg that's there. Of course, if you need a modification, you can have those hands higher, like on an object. Okay? So, reaching forward here. And just breathing. Trying to keep the hips nice and square. Let's get back into frame. All right, and then we're going to take a twist. So I'm going to go towards the outside of the leg that's already in front. So I'm going to be twisting around it. Try to reach as far as I can.
Yeah, so we're going to be yeah, watch out.
Excellent, and then coming back to neutral one more time, just seeing how that feels. And before we switch sides, I'm going to take my back leg and we're going to bend it. So that's going to allow me to get a little bit closer belly to thigh and then re-straighten it. You're just going to do that 5 times. Feel free to lift the toes off the floor if you prefer to do this with a flexed foot. Nice. And once you've done that 5 times, we're just going to switch sides. So same position, trying to flatten through the back. If you need, you can have your hands up higher.
For sure.
Beautiful. And then we're going to take a twist on this side as well. So I'm reaching around my own leg. You might be further than me if you are more flexible than me. That's totally fine. You might not be as twisty. That's totally fine as well, wherever you are today. And then coming back to your neutral position. And we're going to go ahead and do that back knee bend. If you need to flex that front foot, you can. But bending and straightening back leg 5 times. And 5. Excellent. Good. Oh, that's nice. My cat just hairballed all over the floor. Lovely. Okay. I'm going to ignore that for now. I'll clean it up in a moment. Okay, we're going to start with some of the exercises. And let me break down why I chose the exercises that I did. Obviously, when we're doing a hip key, specifically a windmill hip key, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to lift ourselves into the air. So that requires our lock-off position, whether split fabric or fabric together or a rope or whatever apparatus you're on. You're going to need to lift yourself up. Then we're going to be working on a scissoring action, because the next step is to engage the obliques so that you can scissor the legs to collect whatever you are trying to key onto. Usually the top leg will be in front and the bottom leg will be behind. So you'll see a lot of exercises that have that sort of side twisted oblique engagement position that we're going to do in a moment. The next step after that would be then to straddle the legs and to tuck the pelvis to lift the hips. I like to think of a windmill hip key as a hip key mixed with an inversion. You don't need to go completely upside down, but what I'm aiming for when I'm in the air is hips are the same height as your shoulders. That I find is a good place to be, because then when you key over, you'll be locking the fabric into that position and you won't lose any height. In an ideal world, when I'm keying, let's say the fabric is to my right side, my left hand will be the one that's on top, so that when I finish my key, my arm will end up straight, but my hand will not need to slide at all. That means that you are getting your hips adequately high enough so that you are locking into position fast enough that you don't drop height as you're trying to finish the pose. Okay, so that is basically the components that I want to go over today. We're going to do mostly core oblique stuff, because that I find is the hardest bit, especially comboed with our adductors, so the inside of the legs that need to squeeze towards the midline to create that cross. These are legs, by the way. So let's start with some bicycles. This is just to warm up our abs a little bit. We're going to start off easy. But bicycles, for these, just because I want to add an extra little bit of twist, instead of just sitting up towards one leg, I'm going to reach past that leg. So I'm just going to have my arms straight, and I'm going to try to reach. Now, don't go to the point that you're like dislocating your shoulder, but I'm trying to take an extra little bit of twist here. So it'll look like this. Just trying to do a little extra twisty twist. Let's do about 20 of those. Ready, set, go. You can also have the other leg on the floor if you want to. That is a valid modification. Excellent. Very nice. And as we're twisting, we want to make sure that we're not rounding too much through the upper back. Just like when we do this stretch and we take this twist, we don't want to be hunched over when we do it. I want to push up long through my spine, long to my head, and then make that twist happen evenly through my spine, not just from one spot and like, okay, so reaching up nice and tall, and then if you want more twist, make sure you're still reaching, make sure you're still elongating. Yeah, very nice. Exactly. So as we're doing these exercises, try to keep that in mind, that sense of elongation through the spine, so that it's an even twist, not just like, yeah. Excellent. All right, next one we're going to do is toe touches. So I actually have a couple of different exercises that I call toe touches, and I'm going to show you all of them. The first one that we're going to do is just an oblique engagement. So I'm down on the floor, my feet are flat, and I'm going to sit up and side crunch to try to get to my toes. Depending on how far away your feet are, you might not actually be able to touch your toes. That's fine, that's not the point. You're just trying to sit up and side bend at the same time. So toe touches like this, and then we're going to do toe touches like this. So legs are going to be straight up, and I'm going to alternate. I'm not going to go to the same side. I'm going to go across the body. I'm going to try to touch the toes on the other leg, and then back. The other leg, and back. Okay? So let's do those two exercises, and let's do 20 of each exercise. You can go at your own pace, and or keep up with me, up to you. First one, ready, set, go. If your neck gets tired, you can always support the neck with the arms.
Anything else?
Just keep the effort the same. 19, 20, exercise number 2.
Oh, really? Nice. Nice.
20. Excellent. And take a quick break when you're done. Very nice. I see everyone is doing a great job keeping their legs nice and straight on that second exercise. That's bonus challenge points. We all are doing really awesome with that. Well done. Let's grab a sip of water before we continue. Or coffee. Preferably both.
It's a really beautiful place.
You know, you have one cup of coffee in one hand and you're already a cup of water in the other hand, and you just alternate. Which is great to keep you hydrated, but then you have to pee every like 10 minutes. Okay, next one we're going to do is Russian twists. So for Russian twists, you can put your feet underneath of an object, or for more challenge, don't put your feet under an object, or for even more challenge, lift your feet up so that they're hovering above the ground. For the rest of the body, what I want you to do is I want you to recline until you feel what I refer to as the chihuahua shakes. You know how little chihuahuas, like they're just like constantly trembling? That's what you're trying to get, this sort of like trembling, where your muscles are obviously working to keep you here. That's where we want to be. And then we want to twist side to side. If you're too upright, then you're twisting, but nothing's really happening because your muscles are not at that point where they're having to work as hard. So you want to find that chihuahua shape. And make sure that you're not rounding through the chest. The chest should stay open, the neck should stay long, the abs are engaged, and then we're going to do our twists from here. Again, toes can be lifted if you want them to be. And we're going to do 40 fast twists. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Ready? Find your position. Find the tremble. And begin. 2, 20. 39, 40. Good. Rest. Excellent. If you had your legs lifted, you might have felt that a little bit in your hip flexors as well. That's fine. Yeah. That's also a great exercise to do in slow motion. Instead of going quickly like we just did, you can have your hands here and you're trying to twist and look as far as you can in one direction, and then back, and twisting and look as far as you can in the other direction. That's also a great strength building version of that same exercise if you want it. Cool. Moving right along. Okay, we're going to do a sit-up with a body twist. So for the next one, you can have the legs straight. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find this whole undulation of the spine where I'm tucking my tailbone, I'm curling in through the abs, and I'm lowering to a flat position. And then I'm reversing that. I'm tucking my chin to my chest. I'm rounding through the back, and I'm coming upright. Now at the top, I want you to straighten your spine and twist to the side. And then roll back. And then when you come up, you're going to twist the spine in the other direction. So you can keep these nice and slow. Let's do 10 twists to each side. Excellent. And I am trying to keep my heels on the floor the whole time. Imagine like they're nice and heavy, made of lead. Maybe not lead, concrete. We've got about one more on each side. Excellent. Great job. That one tends to take my pants off a little bit. All right, the next one is one of my favorites. This one is directly related to our Hipkey. I mean, they're all directly related to Hipkey, but you'll see what I mean. I like to call these little leg cheek-to-cheek flutters. So the way that I like to describe this is, you're going to be sitting in our V position. You want your feet off of the ground for this one, knees squeezing together, abs are engaged, and I am finding my balance. All of a sudden, you realize that you're sitting on your TV remote control, and it's right underneath this butt cheek. So you're going to need to shift over, lift that cheek off the ground to make sure that there's space underneath, and then come back, and then shift over to the other side. Apparently, that remote control is really in there, and you're going to have to shift around a few times to get to it. All right, so I'm coming back to neutral, shifting one side. Now you can reach your arms to counterbalance a little bit if you need to. So I'm kind of engaging my oblique and reaching. Now, to make this a little bit more exciting, we're going to flutter our legs. So I'm going to do little knee flutters. I'm trying to make this happen from this joint, not this joint. And then we're going to combo it with our cheek to cheek. Let's do about 20 of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, ready? And begin. 7, 8. Feel free to stop fluttering at any point if you're like, I'm not into that. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Excellent. Do you guys feel those in like the side, front oblique area? Nice, excellent. Okie doke. So we're going to get into a set of side crunches next. For this one, this is our just traditional side crunch. We're going to do that by laying on the side of the body. I am in a slight hollow body engagement, meaning my legs are slightly forward. I'm not in a perfect line, and that's going to help me balance. So legs slightly forward. Variation, you are going to bring your top arm and your top leg together. So that's option 1. Option 2, you're going to keep your legs together like a unit, and you're going to lift everything up. Okay, either way, we're going to do 20 of these on each side. Feel free to start with a harder variation and then scale back to the other variation if you need to. All right, ready, set, begin. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Excellent. Now, before we switch sides, we are going to go ahead and do a different exercise right from here. So I'm this time going to scissor my top leg forward. Now this is going to feel a lot more like a hip key action, right? My top leg is forward, the bottom leg is down, and we're going to basically do a lift from here. This is the same effort that I would be doing in a hip key, so this is a very nice exercise for that. I am going to be lifting my bottom leg and my top arm towards each other. Now you can do this simply by reaching. This is going to feel very accurate, or you can do a full arm extension, up to you. This top leg can be bent for this exercise for more comfort, but I like the straight leg variation for hip key practice. Right, we're going to do 20 from here, and begin. Really work on that inner thigh contraction.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm just trying to get my lat off the floor with these. You can definitely use the arm that's on the ground to help. $19, $20. Awesome. Hopefully you're starting to feel it in the side oblique, but you're also starting to feel it in the inside of that leg. Those adductor muscles are very important for hip keys. So one more thing before we switch sides, you're going to stay in the same position. If you need to, you can bend the leg for this one as well. And we're now just going to focus on that inner thigh. So just that adduction effort. Hand can be on the floor for balance. Other hand can support your head or be on the floor for balance, up to you. We're just going to do little pulses. So I'm lifting my leg up. We're going to do 20 of these as well. So it's just the leg part of the last exercise. Begin when you're ready. Yes, excellent. Woo, that inner thigh, right there. Once you're done with that, we're gonna do the other side. Excellent. So as a reminder, the first thing that we did was the single leg lifts or the double leg lift. Okay, my couch. So that's where we're gonna start as well. Side crunches. Ready? 20 of these. Begin. And 20. Excellent. The next one is going to be our side key position. So I am here. I am reaching my top arm to the bottom leg. Ready? And begin. Very nice. 17, 18, 19, and 20. And last but not least, just that inner thigh lifts 20 times. Nice. Now the reason why I'm focusing so much on this bottom leg and that lifting action is because by focusing on that, you're actually going to be able to get your hips up much higher in your hip key. It's this effort, this sort of scissoring lifting effort, that's going to help you get those hips up in the scissor position straddle and keep your butt up in your straddle so that when you key over to the other side, you don't lose any height. Okay. Excellent. How are we doing so far? Cool. I see some people are just like, oh. Excellent. Okay. So we're done with that nonsense. So now we're going to combine the action together, and we're actually going to practice the leg effort of keying from side to side, because it's really a symmetrical thing. You lift up when one scissor, you go through a straddle, and then you scissor the other way to lock in your key. You do the reverse to come out of it, right? So we're going to practice keying from side to side. I need to set up in a way that I don't kick objects. You can do this either from the elbows or from the hands balancing, up to you. But I'm going to set up in my hip key position, keying over to one side. Top leg is the one that's piking towards the body. You want to have your legs lifted off the floor slightly, so that you feel that engagement in the side oblique. Then you're going to go through a straddle motion. Now in your straddle, I'm really trying to tuck my pelvis. I'm trying to scoop my butt, and then I'm going to key in the other direction, like so. Straddle, key, straddle, key. So I'm trying to make this nice, beautiful arcing pathway, which is basically your windmill hip key. All right, so we're going to do that side to side. Let's do that 10 times. When you're ready, begin. Nine, 10. Excellent. Yeah, and hopefully you're feeling all those same muscles that we just worked. Inner thighs, obliques, a little bit of core. It's all the same goodness. Excellent. Moving right along. The next one, and this is going to be kind of the last ab-centric thing that we're going to be doing, is some flutter kicks. And the reason why I want to do the flutter kicks is because in the other versions of a windmill hip key, where you're not using the straddle to slide the fabric to your hips, you might use a bicycle or a flutter kick action. So once you have the fabric between the legs, you would bicycle the legs or flutter the legs to get the fabric to slide up to the hip, to ensure that the tail is always landing over the sacrum and not around the butt. That's how you would do that if you're not doing a full straddle to get there. So let's do some flutters. A couple options for you. The first option is to simply be on the elbows, and you're going to alternate leg extensions here. This is going to be what a bicycle version of the hip key entry would look like this. Option 2, you can be in the same position, but you can do with straight legs here. And option 3, if you want more challenge, you're going to be in a hollow body position, and you're going to do one of those, or here. Okay, so up to you, but we're going to do 20. Our number is 20 today, so we're going to do 20 of those, whichever version you choose to do. Ready? And begin.
Uh,
18, 19, 20. Excellent. Very nice. I like those while we keep the abs engaged, because if you're holding your body weight in your hands, you don't want to disengage the abs and then make the legs move. Then it's going to be very disconnected, and it's going to feel like you're having to lift your entire lower body weight instead of it working with you to help you go upside down. I mean, obviously you are still lifting your body weight, but in one, it's aiding the lifting, and in the other scenario, it's hindering the lifting. So you don't want to be working against your lower body, is what I'm trying to say. Excellent. All right, we're gonna switch gears. We're almost out of time, but we're gonna switch gears a little bit to do some shoulder stuff, because the foundation of a good inversion, of a good hip key, of a good anything in aerial, is your connection point. And our connection point in most cases is our hands. Therefore, you know, the elbows and the shoulders need to be in their proper position. If I'm doing a beautiful ab engagement and side oblique and all that kind of stuff, but my shoulders are doing this, then I'm probably gonna hurt myself still. So making sure that all this is solid and tight and open and all that kind of stuff. So we're gonna start with some shrugs. We've definitely done these together before. So options include simply moving from push-up position to downward dog, doing shrugs while you're moving from push-up position to downward dog, or doing rotational shrugs when you're moving from push-up position to downward dog. So push-up position, downward dog. You can do shrugs. You can also do rotational shrugs. If you're doing rotational shrugs, try switching directions every now and then. So maybe if you're going this way, go this way. But do about 5 of those, moving back and forth at your own pace. Excellent. I'm going to come check out to see how everyone is doing. Very nice. Trying as much as you can to keep those arms nice and straight. Yeah. Look at those strong backs. Wonderful. Good work. Okay, the next one we're going to do is everyone's favorite exercise, push-ups. I saw the faces. Okay, so we're going to do a narrow push-up and a wide push-up, and we're going to alternate narrow or wide. You feel free to do this from the knees or from the toes, it doesn't matter. But in the narrow push-up, I'm really trying to skim the elbow by the ribs. I'm trying not to let it do anything weird here, and my hands are about shoulder width apart. For our wide push-ups, which will alternate, I'm going to take my hands even wider, and I'm going to try to lower, no lower than 90-degree bend at the elbow. So to here. I don't really want to push any further than that, just to 90 degrees. The other one you can lower as low as you want, but in the wide elbow push-up, lower to 90 degrees.
I have a question.
Yes.
Anastasia, in the wide arm one, why do you not want to lower past 90?
Just because if you're going past 90, you're getting into like a very extended position here, and I've noticed that the risk of injuring your shoulder is increased if you go beyond
Got you.
in this position versus in this arm position. Then you can go pretty far without injuring your shoulder.
Okay, that makes sense. I just know for contortion push-up, you have to start flat. So I was like, oh no, is there something? But yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
No. Yeah, great question. Ooh, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about contortion push-up.
That's because you don't have to be a contortionist, turns out.
Okay, so from this position, elbows in. I'm going to go nice and low. Push back up. Switch, switch. Elbows wide. Push back up. And I'm trying to keep my hands at shoulder height, or maybe a little bit below shoulder height, so that when my hands go wide, I can extend out and come back. Okay, try for 5 to 10, either from toes or from knees, whichever is awesome. Come see what y'all are doing. Yes. And try to keep the shoulder blades broad on your back. So what I mean by that is if I'm doing a push-up, I don't want to go here and squeeze. Do you see this line that gets created between my shoulder blades? Maybe not because of my clothing, but versus here where I'm trying to push the shoulder blades away from each other, almost like a protraction, and then that crease does not appear between the shoulder blades. So make sure that the effort is not here, it's here, right? So your body should stay pretty much solid, pretty much identical to as it is from the beginning. Only the elbows and a little bit of the shoulder joint moves, but the scapula should not close on your back. Yes, very nice. What I find that I like to think about is, you know when we do cat and cow and we go scaredy cat and we really push the back up? I'm exaggerating, you don't have to be like this in a push-up position, but this effort helps me keep my scapula from collapsing towards my spine. Yeah. Awesome. Well done. And another common thing, which I didn't see any of you do, by the way, is what I call bobbing for apples. It's where the shoulders don't move, but the head moves. So, and none of you did that, but just that's another thing to pay attention for. All right, last but certainly not least, we're gonna do some tricep push-ups. Now you can do tricep dips, you can do all kinds of things for triceps, but one of my favorites is this one. We're gonna lay on the side, you're gonna give yourself a hug, you're gonna grab your own lat, and your hand is gonna be by your face. Now, one thing to note, the closer your hand is to your face, the harder it is. So out a little bit is easier, and up a little bit is easier. So if you're in and close, this is gonna be the hardest, and then this is gonna be easier, and this is gonna be easier. So you can kind of adjust accordingly where you wanna be. We're gonna do 5 lifts on each side. And I changed my mind, we're gonna do 10 lifts on each side. So just lifting up and lowering back down. Just like that. Begin when you're ready.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
7,
Just 7 measures.
9, 10. Excellent. And other side when you're ready. And 10. Woohoo! Excellent job. Awesome work. Some tricep stretch, which should feel really good after that. A shoulder stretch will feel really good after that. But I basically want to open it up to questions now. So I'm going to stop recording so that people can just talk as they want.